To punish the child for misbehaving, the father SA'd his son with a blunt object. This ruptured his internal organs and killed him. In the quiet rolling hills of Bella Vista, Arkansas, the houses are spaced apart by thick stretches of timber, the kind of place where privacy is a given and neighbourly intervention is rare. In March 2015, that privacy became a shroud for a crime so systematic and depraved that it forced seasoned investigators to seek counselling. This is the story of Isaiah Torres. He was 6 years old. When emergency responders arrived at the Torres home on a Tuesday morning, they found a child who looked less like a living boy and more like a victim of a high-speed collision or a war zone. But there was no accident. Isaiah's death was the culmination of what prosecutors would later call a house of horrors. The autopsy report reads like a catalogue of human cruelty. Isaiah did not die from a single blow. He died from the sheer weight of cumulative trauma. His body was a map of old and new wounds, deep lacerations, puncture marks and bruising that covered nearly every square inch of his skin. Most chillingly, medical examiners found evidence of ligature marks on his wrists and ankles, physical proof that the 6-year-old had been bound and restrained for extended periods. The torture wasn't just physical, but psychological. Evidence surfaced that Isaiah was frequently locked in a small dark closet, isolated from the world, while his parents, Mauricio and Kathy Torres, continued their lives on the other side of the door. The details of Isaiah's final days are difficult to stomach. According to court records, the abuse reached a fever pitch during a family camping trip. Because Isaiah had allegedly misbehaved, his father subjected him to a punishment that involves a horrific sexual assault using a blunt object. This wasn't a momentary lapse of reason, it was a calculated act of violence. Upon returning to Bella Vista, Isaiah's condition deteriorated. He was struggling to breathe, his internal organs failing from the trauma. Rather than seeking medical help, his parents watched him die. By the time they finally called 911, Isaiah's body was already cold. The cause of death was officially ruled as chronic child abuse and acute physical trauma. The trial revealed a systematic failure of the people meant to protect him. While his father was eventually sentenced to death, a sentence later overturned and replaced with life without parole, the community was left asking how a child could be tortured to death in a suburban neighbourhood without a single alarm being raised. The journalistic reality is that Isaiah Torres lived his entire short life in a state of constant agonising fear. He was a child who was never allowed to be a child, whose world was defined by the four walls of a closet and the hands of the two people he should have been most able to trust. In Bella Vista, the trees still grow thick and the houses remain quiet. But for those who knew the name Isaiah Torres, that silence is no longer peaceful. It is an indictment.